Yo, welcome back to another episode, man. GMAK, the Boiler Man, coming at you from my backyard. Just something new I'm trying. I got some new microphones, new equipment. Supposedly it has noise cancellation, so we'll find out at the end of the video how it sounds. I'm hoping it sounds really good and crispy for you guys and blocks out all the New York City airplanes that fly overhead and maybe my dog barking at me, but right now he's kind of taking a nap. He worked really hard this morning. For you guys who haven't been here before, man, we appreciate you guys being here. If you don't mind, man, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, help that algorithm push the videos up. If you have been here before and you've been an avid follower of ours, man, we really do appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. We put a lot of effort and time into this channel and bringing you, whatever information I can. I try to talk about things that are a little bit off topic to what normal people talk about. I mean, YouTube is flooded with so many mechanical things and system problems and all that stuff, and we do talk about that stuff on this channel from my perspective, but I also like to talk about the real that happens out in the field and just giving you my first-hand experiences when it comes to blue collar and being someone who's been in the trades for the majority of his life, especially in times like now. It's been the trades are kind of starving for new blood, and as some of the old timers go out and some new guys come in, I'm trying to really do my best to show the allure, man. It's really a great business and something that has really become something near and dear to my heart. My stepfather passed away about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago already, and he was the one who kind of taught me the business. I came up under him and he gave me the opportunity, and 16 plus years in the business now, and how much I've learned, how much I've grown as a person, not just as a mechanic, and the ability to just take on new challenges and stuff has been amazing. So on this episode, I really just wanted to get into talking to you guys about why I love the business so much. And again, everything I tell you is really just my perspective. I'm not giving you facts and numbers that I'm sitting here reading off of. My phone is blank. I'm not looking at it. There's no. This is always unscripted when you see me. That's why you hear me say a lot of ums and ohs, because I'm not sitting here with a script in front of me. I'm really just spitting off my chest, almost like a hip hop artist, freestyle. But I have a topic in mind. Obviously, I don't just come on here blindly. But on this one, I really wanted to talk about one of my joys and one of the things I love about the business the most, and something that my stepfather passed down to me. He passed a lot of lessons down to me. Some lessons I learned what not to do. For those of you who work with family, I'm sure being in a family business is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever been a part of, but I also learned a on because of it. So it's everything else in life. When you're going through it, it's the worst thing you're going through, but as you grow up and you start experiencing different things, and you realize how important those lessons were and how you carry them with you all the time. And I certainly carry a lot of the that he taught me throughout the years. And this topic that I'm talking about is one of them, because I remember early on in my career, I had built houses for a living, so I didn't really do anything that was emergency related. The closest thing I came to an emergency call is if we had a roof open and it rained and we had to tarp it, we would just be mad people trying to tarp the roof, and that's probably as close as I came to an emergency call. And then when I got into this business and I learned, what emergency service is really about, and somebody that, again, if you know New York or whatever, but I'm a Long Island kid, so every time I go into the city, it's a travel, whether it be an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is with traffic. I've always traveled, so and that into itself has its stresses, but I remember getting into the business and my father would tell me, you have to be willing to put a lot of time into this. And I didn't know what he meant because I had never experienced it. He was verbalizing it to me, but until you experience it firsthand, it doesn't matter how many times somebody says something to you or explains something to you. And I remember getting started with him, and I didn't have any knowledge of boilers. I didn't have any real electrical knowledge, very basic. I could put an outlet in, I could hang a light. I was good with tools. I wasn't always good with my hands, so I always knew that I could transition into this business well, but I never really knew what it took. So as I got into it and I started to learn about the late nights and the early mornings and all that stuff, it wasn't easy to transition into that, let's be honest. But it was a transition I made nonetheless. And I realized what went into it, what was necessary, to grow inside the business. And the part I wanted to talk about the most on here is about the clients, not just the managers that we deal with, but the people living in the buildings, because we're dealing with buildings 99% of the time. Yeah, I do some off, jobs where I help some private houses, but the most part, these are multifamily dwellings that, we're servicing. And he started teaching me about the heart that you have to have that goes out to the people in the building. So it really didn't matter what time of the day, we had to get over there. We had to make sure it worked one way or another, you know what I mean? And I come from a very old school background because of him. He was in the business for 60 years. So I learned a lot of new school and I learned a lot of old school, and it's been something I've been able to put together. And probably one of the most, not only inspiring, but one of the things that I benefited from the most, because a lot of these newer guys that are just learning the new you didn't really get an opportunity to learn some of the old stuff. And I'm not just talking about equipment, I'm just talking about an old way of thinking. The old timers, it would really not have to be, like, the equipment would really have to be not make it work one way or another. Whether it be jumping things out. And I know already, as soon as I say jump out electrically, guys are on here like, oh, it's so dangerous. And, sometimes you're put in a position to make decisions that may not be in the best interest from a long-term perspective, but from a short-term perspective, if it's 15 degrees outside and I got to give heat to the building, now obviously I'm going to make sure the safeties and things work. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about jumping out safeties, but there are things inside the burner that you wouldn't eliminate long-term, but from a circuitry's perspective, you could do without for a short period of time. And so he had taught me once I'm in there, once you're in the building, of trying to figure out what needs to be done, because you can have up to 200, 300, 400, 500 people living in a building. That's men, women, children, elderly. And he beat that in my head so hard, and it's something I carry with me to this day. But it's also one of the things I take the most pride in, is that we're like modern day superheroes, in my opinion. Like, I feel like sometimes when I show up to the building, it's like I got a cape on, and I see guys, like, it's happened to me so many times where people are just waiting on the staircase, and I pull up on my toolbox and they're like, yo, you here for the heat? And it's like, the feeling that they have, and then the feeling that's reciprocated on my end, because I'm like, I'm here to fix the heat, bro. I got you. In one way or another, I'm gonna stick that bad boy out and we're gonna get it done. And I've kept that motto going, and not only have I kept it going, but as I teach the newer generations and I bring a lot of younger guys into our company, I also beat that into their heads, because the new generation's a little bit different. I'm not on it, you know what I mean? To each his own. It's definitely a different way of thinking. They're definitely not as cutthroat. And when I say cutthroat, I don't mean it like in a negative way. I just mean like, the work ethic can be a little bit different. Their approach is a little bit different than mine might be, but it doesn't make them less workers. But it's something I have to teach them. Like, yo, we got people living in the building. It's happened to me many times. Guys go to the building and say, oh, well, this isn't working, and like, we'll go back early in the morning. I say, yo, that's not acceptable. If it's in our means to do it, we got to do something. Even if I give them a shot of heat for a period of time and then let it go overnight, and then somebody goes there in the morning, like, I got to do something to get the jobs running. And the reason I put so much emphasis on that is because of the people in the buildings, is because of the words that sit inside my mind that my stepfather left in there. He really did beat that into my head, and it's something I'm forever grateful for, because it really helped drive me to the higher purpose of what this business is. Yes, you make money. Yes, there's a lot of opportunity. Yes, there's so many positive things that come with being in the business. But there's really two things now as a business owner that are the most important to me. One is being responsible for putting food on my guys' table. Every bi-weekly we pay, and that paycheck is always there, and the guys are able to feed their families, and we deal with a lot of in-house stuff, but got our open door policy. And then on the other side, it's taking care of the tenants, making sure they have everything they need, making sure that no matter what happens, we're going to figure out a way to get them running. And honestly, that's one of the ways we've been able to build our business. I mean, it's been built many different ways, but one of the main things is we're very prompt. We make sure we're at the buildings within a couple of hours. We don't make clients wait around. When people have questions, they know who to contact. And we're just always there for the client, man. That's been our motto. Some guys have been me about answering my phone all the time and being such an easy target for my clients to get in contact with, but I don't care. That's how we operate. It sets us apart from a lot of companies, if I'm being honest. the days of being able to get in contact with the owner is kind of like waning. But for us, that's our bread and butter. When a client has a question or has an issue, they know they can get me on the phone. And if it isn't me, it's my business partner. So it's really helped our company grow. And it's something that is very near and dear to my heart. I love it. I love being able to show up for the customers. And troubleshooting itself, if you're a tech and you're watching this, man, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world is walking into a building where somebody can't figure out the problem and you figure out the problem, right? So, it's multi-layered, but that's always been one of the things that's near and dear to my heart. And again, that's passed down from my stepfather, who I hold in high regard. We didn't always see eye to eye, which is okay. It's very hard to work with family. That's going to be a video I'm going to do for another day because that's an important conversation to have. But man, it's been transformative in a lot of ways for me and how I approach business and how I approach my, my job, or just my day to day. You know what I mean? I'm all about the client. And again, I'm not talking directly to the managers, but they're my client. But also the people that live in the building. So I hope you get something from these videos, man. I really do. Like, I put a lot of energy and time into thinking about what I want to talk about. It really does come straight from the heart, you know what I mean? And again, I'm just trying to give you guys a different approach from you've probably watched before, man. There's like thousands of videos on plumbing and troubleshooting and systems and all that. Again, like I said earlier, we do talk about those things, but I really like to get into the nitty gritty, the things that are more humanized, the things that we may feel as technicians, the things we may feel as business owners, and talk about those things. Because we can sit here and talk shop all day. I mean, I could talk a year off about steam systems and hydronic systems and my approach compared to some other guys' approach, and all that's fantastic. It has a time and a place, but one of the things I notice is lacking is just this ability to come on here, talk to you guys real, have a back and forth. I mean, I would love for more comments to come through so we could have a back and forth, we could have a little banter, because I think those things are really important. So once again, man, we do appreciate you guys being here, man. And if you've watched this far and you haven't subscribed already, man, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, man. Come on, you want to do it. And while you're at it, man, smash the like button. It really helps us. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and we really do appreciate you guys, man. It means a lot to us that you're here. It means a lot to us that you watch these videos, and our subscriber base is really growing. And it takes time, but it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing these videos for you. And if you have a topic you want to hear me discuss or something you want to hear me talk about, drop another comment below. We do appreciate it. We always respond. So otherwise, guys, have an amazing day. We appreciate you once again. Peace.